Happy Sunday night and welcome to another episode of the Park Adventurers Club. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys for being with us. We appreciate you so much. A little bit of work for you first, though. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. It's called the Park Adventurers Club, and also give us a thumbs up or a like, as it helps people to find us. And tonight's members in quorum are these lovely folks, starting with Annie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Venturing with Annie is always fun. And then also Stephanie.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Rob. Happy Christmas-ween.
Christmas-ween. I know it's a little weird that I pulled out the let's talk about Christmas thing on October 19th, but if you are trying to plan a trip to Walt Disney World or Universal Studios Orlando, you may want to already know what kind of things you should expect for Christmas and the holidays and all that. So we're going to talk about that at the back half of our meeting that we're having tonight. And like I've said before, and anybody who's brand new, thank you and welcome in. That we run this like a little bit like a meeting with Rob's Rules of Order. I've taken some liberties here with the title of this book. But I've got a gavel and everything, so if anybody gets unruly, but we usually save that for Patrick or Pete. But you know what? I mean, anything can happen. So thank you guys for being with us. Let's talk first, as we've got an agenda for, most meetings have an agenda to talk about. We're going to talk about the the reading of the minutes, which is the stuff that's happened in the past week. Remy Ratatouille is going 2D. Universal Kids Park in Texas has been announced. The lands. The Universal's trying out something crazy called a single attraction express pass. And then the Swan and Dolphin are doing their 16th annual Food and Wine Classic. And then an interesting thing about that magical holiday celebration taping that they do every year that I want to talk about. And then we'll get into that new business, which is our 2025 holiday guide. So hang with us while we talk about some news first. Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. This attraction has changed several times already, and it only opened in 2021. First, they had these bench seats that had separations in them so that there were clearly 3 people that could sit in there. Then I don't know if it's ADA compliance or because people complain, but they removed the separator so it's a solid bench. Now they're taking this attraction, which is a 3D attraction, and they're taking it down to 2D. Stephanie, you've ridden this thing before. Like, do you have any problems with this? Because the internet has problems with it, and we'll talk about that.
Sure. Yeah, it's one of our favorite ones. And of course, it's a great one because the entire family can ride it. Our toddler can ride it, and she loves it. And she wears the glasses and everything too. So there's no issue there. It does make me a little bit, especially on the running part where they run through the wall and you're kind of jogging and chasing them through the maze in the wall. So it makes me a little bit nauseous. So I just close my eyes during that part. And it's just a gentle rocking. It's just fine. Going down to 2D, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I love the physical sets. I love when the actual wheels are spinning when you're underneath the cart scene. That's wonderful. The fire effect underneath the stove. I love, yes, the pantry and everything too. Those are great, but the video is the majority of the ride. And so if they're going down to 2D, which I know they're doing that in Paris as well, I'm not sure if that's going to give the same feel. I think it's very reminiscent of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, especially when you're in that one scene with the tropical and you're going down the waterfall. And that does feel pretty cool. It feels like you're tipping forward and you're going down the waterfall, even though it's 2D. So I don't know. It could be good, but I have my reservations.
Well, they said 2.5D when they first launched the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, 2.5D. But you're right. That's different because those scenes, like, they're mixed with physical, and there's a lot more physical stuff in the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway than there is in Ratatouille. You're right, most of it is screen-based. But they're saying it's for the betterment of all of us because they're going to take it and it's going to be more crisp and clear and clean. And then you're right, some people do complain about maybe getting sick or nauseous by riding, a 3D attraction. But, I know that Jim Schul, who was a former Imagineer, who is a big critic. If you guys don't follow him on X, he's a big critic of Disney and what they do. He was saying that this experience was designed for 3D, and so taking it down to 2D, you may remove something. They're saying that this is going to take 2 to 3 days and then it's going to be back up. And then you won't use the glasses. But then over time, they're going to, as part of this, add physical sets, physical pieces back to the sets as they go. But you brought up a great example of the fact that those spinning wheels have not spun in God knows when. You know what, Annie? Over on the Universal side, people always complain about the stuff being there's too many screen-based attractions. But I mean, how do you feel about this? Do you think it's a good thing that people like one less place for people that have to wear 3D glasses?
Well, I went to Paris and we didn't wear the 3D glasses. And I said to my mom, I remember wearing 3D glasses on this last time because I have a picture of my ex wearing them on the ride. So I'm like, why are we not wearing 3D glasses? So that threw me off in Paris. So I guess that's already a thing. I I think it's a little different with Ratatouille losing the 3D glasses. I feel like it probably isn't that big of a deal if they add set pieces. On the Universal side, though, I think you remember maybe 2 years ago, Kong went from 3D glasses to just nothing. And I hated the idea when they first announced it. And then my friend kind of convinced, well, okay, I'm sorry. I knew it was coming and I kind of was hating on the idea. And my friend convinced me it wasn't going to be so bad. So I went into it very gently. And now I kind of hate it because the glasses blocked out a lot of things that you should not be seeing. And without the glasses, it feels like you're just riding a bus. Ratatouille, there's a lot more emotion, a lot more things. You change scenes a lot more. So I'm not angry at Ratatouille losing 3D. I'm angry at Kong losing 3D.
Yeah, you know what? But let's be honest, it is like riding a bus. I mean, come on.
It is. And then without the glasses made you like, it's the illusion of being on a ride, like, oh, this is going to be fun, but when you just get
Yeah.
on the bus, it's not. Same thing,
Well, I mean,
Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious was supposed to be 3D. They even originally were building it to be 3D. They had like the room that they were going to wash the glasses in, and then they changed it. And I think it's a terrible ride all around. And I don't know if 3D could have saved it, but it was from the Hollywood tram tour, which was 3D. And then they, now it's not existent on their tour. So hopefully not existent anymore at Universal sometime in the future. But that's for another day.
no, that's what got me about the Fast, and this is totally off topic, but kind of Fast and Furious, and then also the Kong thing is that in California they were just part of that 45-minute tram ride, and in Orlando they were like, let's build a monolith to this one little piece, and then there were problems with the doors not working, and like the trucks were like on Kong were like setting off little alarms so they can put on too many trucks. Like when you probably remember all that when it first opened, but I just looked at it and went, wait a minute, you took a small teeny tiny segment of what the tram tour was and you made a huge building for it. Like, could we not have done something new and original? And especially hurts for somebody that's old like me that remembers Confrontation and how cool Confrontation was. God, that was cool, man. I'm still upset at Universal for missing Confrontation. But yeah, that was a thing. So anyway, that's the deal about this. We'll wait and see how this goes. I don't really see 3D. That's a funny thing. Like, I literally just went for an eye exam and they showed me this pad and they're like, let's see your depth perception. I'm like, all right, look, I can catch a ball. Like, if you throw something to me, I know where it is. But like, I can't ever, the magic eyes, like those books back in the day, I just want to burn them all because I can't see anything in those. And then the same thing with like when I was a little kid and they had, and this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but when I was a little kid and we did EPCOT when the, Magic Journeys was in the Magic Eye Theater. I just remember there was a place where you could grab the brass ring and little kids and parents and everybody doing this. And I'm like, what are you doing? You look crazy. Why are you reaching for something? It's not that real. So I see it, like when I put on the glasses, it makes it real, but it doesn't necessarily, I don't see it as coming at me. So I'm not going to miss this, but we'll see what everybody else thinks when this is all said and done. I've said too much. Let's move on to the next topic, which is a little bit more in the wheelhouse for both of you, which is that Universal, you guys remember Universal, they're a good time. Universal has got a kids park coming to Texas, and they finally have announced what rides or what lands will be in these kid parks this kids park, which is a little bit more than I had originally thought would be here. I kind of felt like this was going to be like the DreamWorks land we had in Orlando, but spread out, and a little bit of that. But Annie, is this stuff that you kind of already, because of how into the Universal news and the Universal world you are, you already knew all this was coming, or was some of this a shock? And is there any that you're really excited about?
Uh, no, I was warned ahead of time. um, yes, I've been warned. I honestly, I think most people were expecting more. So the other day when the announcement came out, people were saying all it looks like is a playgrounds and a couple little rides. I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. And I think so many people expected, when you think of Universal building a park, you think of something like quality of Epic Universe, size of Epic Universe, theming. And this just feels like a lot of off the shelf things and play areas, which is not, if you go into it thinking of it as a kid's resort and not a theme park, to me, I think that it makes sense. But I got a lot of messages from people saying, what is this? And I'm like, yeah. No, it's not going to be something that, you fly there just to go to that. If you're in town and you go to it, you're going to enjoy it. But otherwise, it is what it
I
is.
kind of love and hate that people hold you personally responsible for things Universal does, Annie. Like, I love that, that people are going to come to you and go, what are they doing? You're like, I don't know. I just,
I'm sorry.
but I mean, yeah. I mean, honestly, I love the idea of a new theme park. I'm excited, but then, this really isn't, this isn't really, as we talked about with the $200 Santa cake bake experience, this isn't for me. And it doesn't mean that it isn't for somebody. And as a matter of fact, I think this is really more for Stephanie, because she's not very far away from this. Ronald asked in chat, and Rebecca answered where in Texas, but it's Frisco, Texas. So
It's Frisco.
yeah, I mean, Texas probably should have more destinations like this, but you got to be excited about this, Stephanie, right?
Yeah, this is kind of in my backyard in a sense, so I'm probably going to get an annual pass. Let's just be honest.
An annual pass. Wow, that's bold.
I don't know. So, especially if it lets me go to all the Universals, let's do one of those premier passes or something. But yeah, so I think you don't have much competition. Let's just be honest. You got Six Flags over Texas, over in Arlington, and you got Great Wolf Lodge. Okay, that's pretty fun. That's in Grapevine. And then you've got this. Hey, go for a Rough Riders game and see some minor league baseball, and then hop on over to, Universal for a day. I think it makes for a good family weekend. And a lot of these things are, I agree with Annie, like, flat spinner rides, like, just little things. I want to somehow get this message out to Disney and Universal alike. We like dark rides. Give us more dark rides that are not height restricted. Maybe, a very minimum height restriction, 36 inches or something like that, if you want to. But do something that all families can enjoy together. Adults and children alike love those things. You could take the Secret Life of Pets from Hollywood, bring that over. That's easy. The Minions, whatever that shoot 'em up game is called. I don't know, Annie, what's that one called? The Minions thing with the gun, Anyway, that, yes, you could bring that in, something like that. Just put some more dark rides around, and I feel like you're going to get more business, because Six Flags over Texas, I tell you what, does not have that. It's all roller coasters, so little kids, there's not much.
I'm 100% on board with that. We need some dark rides. There needs to be something with some animatronics, some old school, classic stuff, because it really just looks like the fair, but it's safer.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's a carnival, but we check it every day with.
You are not wrong. That is a great summary of that. But you know what? I mean, again, Annie, I'm going to be the when I was in Tokyo guy here, but when I was in Tokyo, the fact that Fantasy Springs opens up with 4 basically rides just like like Stephanie's talking about here. They're basically rides for the entire family. You got the Neverland Adventure and Tinkerbell and the Frozen ride and Tangled, and they're dark rides. That's what we want. You're right. That's what we want to see more of, is stuff that's family friendly. When we go to a park like Busch Gardens, or specifically I'm thinking of Dollywood, and I've mentioned this before. Dollywood, you're either like the grandparents hanging out at the bluegrass show, or you're the teenagers who are on all of the roller coasters that are there, like the Mystery Mine roller coaster. But there's not a lot of in between. Blazing Fury is in between, but there aren't a lot of other things that are in between there, and I think that's the thing that a lot of these parks miss. That's what makes Six Flags is it's all roller coasters, and then like there's occasionally a show. But I think you're right, Stephanie, this is what we need to see more of. But you're also right in the fact that those exist. We've already plotted out what a Secret Life of Pets looks like. Why not put that there? That's a great attraction. It's just probably too much money. Maybe once you buy your annual pass, you'll have a little more influence to make that happen. But yeah, I mean, I love attractions like E.T., like, Secret Life of Pets, the ones that you can ride through and have an experience and be there with the family. That's kind of what it's all about, right? Let's move on to talk about the next topic, which is Universal is trying something. Okay, so I've thought it was interesting that as Disney's been going through their whole Lightning Lane multi-pass, Lightning Lane single pass, Genie Plus, Premier Pass, all these things that they're charging for, Universal has been quietly sitting in the corner, and nobody's been calling them out for the fact that they've had this paid Express Pass forever, and it's expensive. But it's like they set that from the beginning, whereas Disney used to be free, and then they started charging you more and more and more. Now Universal is taking an idea from Disney and going, wait a minute, what if we did a single pass situation where you walk up to an attraction and you go, oh, this attraction, the line's too long, or I would love to ride it. Now, with this testing that they're doing, they've got a QR code system. And again, Annie, you can keep me in check on this one, but they've got a QR code system where you walk up to the Mummy or to Kong, which we were talking about, Kong's Skull Island, and you can scan a QR code and pay $25 a person and then skip the line. Well, okay, so it's a test. So we hopefully know that the reason they put it on these attractions is you won't get many people biting on, let me pay $100 for a family of four to ride Kong. So that's probably why they're testing it here. And the thought process is that they're really testing this to do it over at Epic, which, by the way, when I went to Epic the first time, and Annie and I went together, the first time we went, Harry Potter wasn't open yet. When I went the second time, I thought to myself, I need to get on that attraction, and it wasn't available as part of Express Pass. So I probably would have paid $25 a person to ride that one. So I feel like, Annie, that's where this target is like, let's test it out, see if the system works, kick the tires, and then implement it at Epic, maybe?
I think you got it there, because it's kind of, they're testing it there, but you know that when the time comes that they start having more people in Epic Universe, possible annual passes and stuff, I'm sure it'll be much more crowded. And things like Ministry, for a Harry Potter fan, they all want to do it. And I know how many people waited 4 hours in line because they couldn't do anything else. Even with an Express Pass, they weren't taking it at the time. And I know you went to Japan. Let's bring Japan back up. But as a person that travels very far and has very limited time in Japan, I am happy to be shelling out $20 or 2,000 yen per pass per person and get right on. So I know that this has a huge value to tourists, to save their time, because that's really, basically you're valuing your time by paying for the pass. Now, as someone that goes all the time, I would never ever in a million years buy one of these passes. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, and you're right. I have been on a high horse about the single pass at Disney World, the Lightning Lane single pass, because it's like, good golly, $20 to, and as a matter of fact, I think that Rise was like 40 today or something like that, like
Ooh.
$40 a person to get on, and it's just like, this is highway robbery, and I would never do it. But like you said, Annie, I'm 13 and a half hours across the world, and I only have a few days. Yes, take my money if I can get on the Rapunzel
Yep.
ride. But you know what, Stephanie, you tell me your thoughts on this one, because you have a lot of people in your family. This would really
We
cost
did.
you a pretty penny if you were paying $25, and God forbid you do it for Kong. I'm just saying.
Yes. So when we went to right, when we went to Epic, we only had the one day, and it was the first. So I thought there was going to be a lot of people there, and I thought, well, we're not going to be able to get any rides done. Basically, we're just going to be standing in line the whole time. So I paid for a VIP tour, which, don't get me wrong, we had an amazing job, amazing time. I had the guy that was our guide was great, and he did a great job. But I kind of wonder how much per ride we spent, to be able to do. Now, you could do it multiple times in a row, and some rides we did, but then they would break and we would not be able to get back on it or something, or we try to come back and ride Donkey Kong and we couldn't. So how many, when that actually breaks down, was, I'm not sure. I'm paying for Darkmoor. I got to ride that 3 times. That was wonderful. But I don't know that I would pay to ride Yoshi, So I think that makes sense to have the ability to pay, a certain price for this one ride that, like you said, I'm only going to be there that one day. I want to make sure my kids get that experience. I don't know when we're going to come back, so we will shell out the money for that. I do think that works. I don't like the variable pricing. I feel like, if you're going to say $25, okay, I can eat that cost, fine, for that one ride. But if it's going to be $40 on the day that we go, that sucks.
I mean, and I saw this because I saw Alicia Stella, who covers Universal stuff, was at Disney, and shared this
Ooh,
screenshot today of the 80-minute wait or $40.
you're paying for
$40.
time.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's exactly what you're doing, is you're paying for time. And so, like I said, I've been on a high horse about it, because somebody said that I was being sort of negative about Disney, and I'm not, because I love Disney and I will give them their due when it's there. I
When it's
talked about
you,
that
yeah.
with the storybook canal boats. Then they're adding the Tangled Tower to it at Disneyland, and I love that, and that was very thoughtful in the way they're putting that together and all of that. But with Lightning Lanes, it's just like, it's so expensive, and I worry for the people who this prices out, all of these things. And so Universal has always been like, you know what, it is what it is. We've told you from the beginning, Express Pass, you want to stay in our hotel, you can get it for
That's it.
free. Well, wait a
Mhm.
minute, we don't get that at Disney. Okay. And then they're like, and it'll get you on every ride whenever you want. And then Disney is like, well, we're going to charge you less, but you can only use it like 3 times in the day, because you can't get the things you want. Like, imagine Slinky Dog Dash if you had a pass, and that's what
Right.
Premiere is. But if you could go on it 3 or 4 times in a row, like, that would be
Mhm.
worth it. But again, my thought process changed with with Japan. So before we go any further, we do have a super chat, and I need to find my favorite super chat sounder. Wait a minute. God, I love that. It's from our friend Jungle Cruiser. It says, Annie, you love your Ever After inspired shirt. Best ending of a Cinderella movie. Rob, did you see Disney Store is selling a sipper for Christmas? Oh Lord, what are you doing to me, buddy? I mean, that unfortunately probably would count. I didn't see that, but we'll have to look into it. But thank you for the super chat,
Thank
Jungle
you.
Cruiser. We appreciate it, and much love to Annie's shirt.
Thank you.
So let's move on to something that, like, I was unaware of. I'm gonna admit that. I'm gonna right now. I'm gonna admit that I was unaware of the Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin Food and Wine Classic. Didn't know.
Oh,
16 years it's been around, and I just looked the other way at Swan and Dolphin again. That's from when I was working there, when back in the day when they built it, and I was sort of angry that you would build non-Disney hotels that close to Disney. Like I wanted them to build more Disney hotels and not these. And they act a lot like Disney hotels. And our friend Shannon has done a show on her show Happiest Days. She did a review of the Swan. You can check out on her channel. But as I've said that, and Annie just basically gasped. Have you been to this thing? I mean, you've obviously known about it. You're local, so like you've been to this.
I've seen it on social media so many times, and it looks so good. I'm like, it looks great. Like there's always these places that have food and wine things, but that one looked like one I'd say I gotta go to that. So, I've heard of it for years. So I mean, I didn't know 16 years, but I've been hearing about it for a few years. So.
Yeah. Well, and again,
I mean, I'm a food person. I mean, my feed is a lot of food. If I stop on it, I remember it. I remember these.
Well, this says the 2025 WDW Swan and Dolphin Food and Wine Classic is back, and it has something. And again, being from New Orleans, not New Orleans, I always say that, and I'm sorry, Stephanie, but being from Louisiana, you at least know what a causeway is, I assume.
Sure.
But they call this area the Causeway, and this 2-night Causeway event bundle that they have, or you can buy an individual ticket for one night. Either it is 2 days. It's not like the Food and Wine Festival at EPCOT where it's like the entire fall. It's only 2 days, but one night is $210. But you get food with that, as opposed to you're paying $210 and then you have to pay $4.95 a meal or whatever. But Stephanie, have you heard about this before, or?
I have. I've never been like Annie. I've always kind of wanted to go, but I've never. This is terrible. I've never actually stayed at the Swan or the Dolphin, and I'm about to stay there. And it's right before this happens, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe it's not the actual days that I'm going to be there. So it kind of stinks. But what I do love about it is that they have the celebrity chefs there, and this is something that Disney actually used to do pre-COVID. Is they would have the celebrity chefs come in, usually to, I think it was the Odyssey, and they would have like a demonstration or like a test kitchen almost, and you could watch them prepare, or you would listen to them talk about whatever they're doing, and it was pretty cool. You get to meet them. So I wish that Disney would bring that back. I think that was something that added kind of a next level to their food and wine that obviously Swan and Dolphin still have. So I hope that Disney brings that back to theirs.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was a little bit obsessed with this thing that Jungle Cruiser was talking about. Is this the sipper you're talking about? Because this looks like a Stanley Cup with a wallet velcroed to it, which is interesting. But anyway, yeah, I've never stayed at those hotels, but like I said, it was like sort of a choice that I made. But when we talked about it on the Happiest Days with Shannon, it made me think about it, because it sounds like it's a really good value. Like, because you're right there at, Crescent Lake, and you've got the same amenities and access to the Skyliner and the boats or the friendship boats and all that kind of stuff. And then they've got this event that I think there's a discount if you're, or it may be included if you're actually staying there on those dates. But again, that's you can find out about that online if you want to check it out. It's foodandwineclassic.com. So
they do cool stuff at the holidays too, by the way. I love Swan and Dolphin.
Oh,
I stayed there a lot. I've stayed there a lot. I love it. I love it.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Okay. Again, I think for me it was like there weren't Disney hotels, but they were taking up Disney property space, and then also there was a visual aspect of they kind of like offended the skyline. I don't know. I had a lot of opinions back then, and now it's they've been there long enough. They're part of the family at this point, so I should probably let bygones be bygones and go and stay there. So the final piece of old business is about the Disney wonderful the Wonderful World of Disney Holiday Spectacular. They did an overnight taping, or they're doing an overnight taping at Disneyland. Now, they've already started recording this special, and for those of you who don't know what it is, back in the day, they used to do a Disney Christmas parade. and it was just at Walt Disney World. It was the Walt Disney World Very Merry Christmas Parade, and they would have the like Regis would be there and he'd be hosting, and they would have the parade come down Main Street and all that kind of stuff. I know I'm dating myself when I say that, Annie. I'm sorry, but honestly,
No.
I used to love that when I was a kid. I would record them.
Yes.
I would break them out and play them like for other people later who would hate it. But you know, and it was honestly, it was just an hour commercial for Disney, and I was all about it, because sometimes they would show you behind the scenes of things that were coming soon or that they were working on, or they would send some. I remember Chris Brown riding the new Space Mountain after it reopened at Disneyland, and I was just like, wow, this is really neat. I love these things. And so I actually have VHSs somewhere in this house of recordings of these different parades, and so much so that I would watch them and find like duplicate content from one year to the next.
Oh no, yeah, they replayed it.
They absolutely, they replayed the Lion King. They did a presentation where they took the Lion King show that was at Animal Kingdom and they showed it on Main Street, and they reused it. They reused the exact same thing the next year. Like I remember going frame by frame and going, yep, it's exactly the same bit. Like you could see the same people in the audience. And so, but anyway, so now they do something different where they will record this stuff at Disney World and at Disneyland, and it's a lot of it they put together with like musical performances, and then they'll show it either like Thanksgiving night is the first one, and then they'll do the rest of it on Christmas Day. But they had this opportunity, because I always wondered who is there, because they all look great. They're all wearing their Disney merch, and they're, you know, is this like Club 33 folks, or are these Disney cast members and their families? And so they opened it up to D23 Gold members to go to the one in California, and it like went immediately, like fast. And they said it was sold out, and I went, wait a minute, did they charge people to do this?
Yeah.
But they're not charging them to do it. They actually get to go October 24th and 25th, but they have to stay from like 11 p.m. at night to like 6 in the morning for the entire thing. So I would do it.
Yeah.
But you're nodding your head a lot on this one, Stephanie. You saw this, or you?
I've actually been to one of these by accident.
What? By accident? What?
Yes. Yeah. So the whole story goes like this. It was, I think it was 2017, I want to say, because my daughter was 1, I think at the time. And we just noticed that the Magic Kingdom was going to be open till 1 a.m. And we're like, sweet. So let's just go to the Magic Kingdom. And so we're just riding rides and we're running around, and we happened to go through the hub, and they've got some performer, and I couldn't even tell you who it is. It was somebody famous. I think it maybe been Michael Bublé or something. But anyway, somebody up there singing holiday music. And of course, this was like, I think it was our trip where we went to the very last Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, and we stayed like 11 days, and we stayed for the very first Christmas party. And it was in that time frame because they already had the Christmas stuff up. And so we just happened to walk through the hub, and there was a huge crowd gathered there at the castle stage, and he was performing, and they would say, there would be people hyping up the crowd. Okay, everybody, give us a big cheer, woo! And then we kind of stood around for a few minutes, and we did that. And then they'd say, okay, now after he says this, we're all going to clap. And then they would do that, and and it was just regular park goers and with all of their Christmas stuff. And the Main Street was already lit up and everything. And it was about 1 a.m. So it was pretty fun. I was like, what a neat experience. We didn't even know it was there. So. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, here's a picture. This is Mariah the scientist. They've already started this at Animal Kingdom. She's performing there, recording, and so it's it's. I think I've seen it like over the bushes before, probably, and not up close. But I think when they were doing it with the parade, they'd go, okay, we're going to take it back to 1, and they'd like rewatch the parade so the people would watch the same float go over and over again. But Annie, you got excited about this. So I assume you used to watch this stuff too, or do you still watch it?
Yeah, no, I grew up watching that. That was what we did, for the holidays. That was Christmas morning, was watching that and opening presents. That was Christmas. And then all of a sudden it stopped being the parade and clips of Disney and started being how many musical artists can we jam in here? And I hate it now. I mean, I think it was last year on Christmas, we turned it on and I turned it off and I pulled up YouTube like a 1994 episode with Regis and Kathy,
Oh,
and the Aladdin parade was going down, and I mean, last year we went and back and I watched like 1992, 1994 and stuff, because that was like, it felt a little different than this, like, oh, let's get every celebrity that will show up to Disney for free tickets up on this stage, and let's convince you to come to an event where you got to stand there for hours and hours and hours and cheer a million times over and over. And because I've been to one of these things, and I mean, it's fun. Don't get me wrong, I had a great time, but looking back on it, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even get in the shot. I was cut
oh
out.
yeah.
All that time I stood there. What? So I'm a little bitter. So I'll go back to if Regis isn't hosting, I don't want to watch.
Oh no.
I have bad news for you, but we'll talk about it after this. Anyway,
AI, maybe bring it
yeah.
back.
I mean, they did it with Stan Lee at Comic-Con, so maybe. But hey, we got another super chat. And it's from Jungle Cruiser, who is responding again back to what we were just talking about with the sipper, because, you know, plastic's important. And it says, no, it's a Donald sipper with a Christmas tree. Has been in the parks before. No price has been announced. And so I did look it up, and it is this one. So I have this one. So I'm a little bit relieved.
Can I say this though?
Sure.
Can I say this really quick? So I got an email the other day from Shop Disney that I've never received before. It was an opportunity to pre-purchase the Starbucks all Mickey head peppermint. They said that they know that I love peppermint and Mickey head, so I guess it was an opportunity to pre-purchase it before it went on sale. I don't know why they're doing that now, but has anyone gotten one of those emails?
I mean, I haven't, but, you know, I'm targeted by Disney 24/7, 365, so nothing shocks me anymore, because, like, I'll be going through Instagram and I'll see that pop-up for Shop Disney in my feed, and then you start to slide left to see, like, what do they show? And it used to be they were limited to 10 images. Now they can show you 60. So I'm like,
oh my god.
Okay, I don't need it, got it, need it, you know, like, go through like that. So right now they're specifically targeting me with the Orange Bird, Letterman jacket that they're selling. So I may break down and buy it, but no, I haven't gotten that. But that is some quality targeted marketing there.
Right?
So good for them. Good for them for finding you, Stephanie, and finding you and your money. Anyway, I wanted to talk about all our old business, but end on that one because it was, you know, that's part of the nostalgia of the holidays for me. And what we want to talk about is not only what's coming up in 2025 and what opportunities you have, but kind of give you a guide to the holidays at Walt Disney World and Universal Studios. And part of the conversation, like the reason for this for me, is that somebody reached out to me the past week and was like, is there anything good to do at Universal for Christmas? And I was like, oh, okay, that's something we don't really talk about a lot. Obviously, we talk about Disney and all the things that happen there, but so we'll talk a little bit about that. But in regards to this parade, I think when I was a little kid, I always thought to myself, people get to be at Disney World on Christmas Day. Like, that's a thing you can do. You can wake up at freaking Disney World, and that's not ever anything that we did when I was a little kid. But also, now that I know all of that was being recorded, you know, those people weren't there either. So those people had been there in October.
Yes.
I honestly, I don't know if I would want to be there. I've been there at Easter. I've been there at Valentine's Day. I've been there at New Year's, which everyone said, don't do that. Why are you doing that? Don't be there for New Year's. And then I have been there around Christmas. And I think that's really when we talk about the holidays, I mean, leading up to. And it's kind of one of those things that sometimes it fills your soul with the spirit of the holidays to go to the parks ahead of time and see that Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade style thing that they do at Universal, or see the Grinch, or you know, or go to Disney and go to one of their hard ticketed events. So I kind of want to talk about some of the cool things that you can do there. But keep in mind, Stephanie, have you ever been on Christmas Day?
No. Well, No, not on Christmas Day. I was very close to it when I worked there, but I actually would fly home on Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I've been there at Thanksgiving. I think we talked about on the happiest days this week that I ate Thanksgiving dinner with my in-laws at a Riviera 3-bedroom villa 2 or 3 years ago, and we brought in Cracker Barrel, and we ate Cracker Barrel at a fancy table at Disney
Nice.
World on Thanksgiving Day. I've done
Home
Thanksgiving at
cooking.
Disneyland. I've eaten at Goofy's Kitchen on Thanksgiving Day. Thanksgiving I'm okay with, but like Christmas, I feel like you got to wake up in the morning with your kids and the Christmas tree, and Santa came last night and all that. I feel like you got to do that one at home. I could be wrong. Annie, have you spent? Have
I was
you?
like, what children? What children do I have to get up with? Like, I used to. I mean, when I lived down here for 10 years, and I think I went to Disney every Christmas because I had nothing else to do.
Wow.
But I would always tell the cast members, like, "Hey, thank you for working. I know you don't want to work on Christmas, but people like me don't
Oh,
have anywhere else to go, so I appreciate you.
oh,
Thanks for my Earl of
sweet.
Sandwich turkey sandwich. This is what I'm eating. Thank you."
I will have you know,
So I've been to Disney a lot.
I worked a
Oh,
double on Thanksgiving once.
oh, wow.
So I
Oh
opened
no.
the land boats and worked at land, and we had I think I've told this story before. We had a what do you call it, a potluck, and everybody brought in a bag of chips. Like that was the potluck. Is like no, I think maybe our lead brought in like a like a turkey sandwich for every, I don't know, but it was like everybody brought in chips. And so then I went right from there to my shift at AMC Pleasure Island, and so on Thanksgiving. I worked from like 8 a.m. till like 1 a.m. on Thanksgiving, and my roommate's girlfriend's family had leftovers, and I remember like sitting in my apartment at 2 a.m. having like cranberry sauce or something like that. It was just,
Oh.
yeah, I know, feel bad for me, right? But I got to spend like Thanksgiving at like the happiest, like the most magical place on earth. So what can I really complain about? But here's what I want to do is I want to kind of go through the highlights of each of the parks and what they offer, and then we'll talk about what traditions you guys have too. And again, we're mostly talking about Disney World and not Disneyland. Disneyland obviously does a lot of great things, including the parade and the decorations and all of those things they do. They don't do a hard ticketed event. At Disney World, they want to get that hard ticket event in, and they have two. And I'm shocked, Stephanie, that one of them still exists. Honestly, as bad as a ratings or like reviews as it got year one. So the two events are Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, which is a hard ticketed event at the Magic Kingdom that started on November 7th, or starts on November 7th. I'm like, it doesn't start yet. We're still in Halloween, right? So
Right.
November 7th and goes through December 21st, which is smart that they stop before like the crazy crowds are there, because you're cutting your Magic Kingdom days short by having a hard ticketed event. You get milk and cookies, or eggnog and cookies, or hot chocolate and cookies as you're going through, and that's part of the thing. And then you've got Jollywood Nights over at Disney Hollywood Studios. This is its, I think, third year. And I know that, Stephanie, you've been to both of them. Do you have an opinion about either of those? One that you like better than the other? One you would tell people, don't do this one, or definitely do that one?
I would definitely do Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. I do love that one. I think the parade is so much fun. But the key is, if you're there on Christmas, then you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to pay the extra ticket, because the Christmas parade is the parade during the day. You can only see this Christmas parade at night. They still do the Festival of Fantasy parade at the 3 o'clock, showtime, sometimes moved up depending on the parade show times at the nighttime. But anyway, I feel like they have a good amount of stuff. It's kind of like the Halloween parties. You can't do everything. You can't ride all the rides and meet all the characters and go to all the cookie stops and stuff like that all in one night. You would kill yourself, because there's just so much to do. You just physically can't do it. They do let you in at 4 p.m. So, don't buy a park ticket that day. Have a lazy day where you sleep in or go to the pool, and then you go to the park that night and use up all of your time on the hard ticket event. But I do like the cookies. I like giving I like going and getting them, and then giving them out to teachers as teacher gifts, because they're Cheryl's cookies. They're yummy.
Well, I mean, they do individual ones now in the baggies. They didn't used to do the
That's it.
baggies. So I guess that's what you're talking about. But I
Yes.
remember, and again, I probably brought this up, is challenging my son. We have to do every cookie stop and drink every drink. And when we got to the peppermint ones, I don't know what I did wrong as a dad, but he hates peppermints like with a
Love
white hot passion, and he could not down the peppermint cookies. So he's like, I give up. Luckily, it was
Oh,
like near the
no.
end, but I'm like, what are you doing? This is the best one. But it's a fun little thing that like they mix it up. It used to just be chocolate chip cookie and milk, chocolate chip cookie and milk at every one, or hot chocolate, not milk, but hot chocolate. And now it's like it's eggnog, or it's like there's a cider, and they mix it up. Annie, you're making faces. Have you? Do you,
I was thinking about the olden days when it was the hot chocolate and the cookies. I was like, it was all the hot chocolate was always too hot. It was like scalding
Yes.
hot.
of course.
Like you couldn't enjoy it. So having other options is kind of nice. But I'm old enough to remember when we used to get party cards. And do you remember back in the way day when you used to get your picture taken in front of like a little background and they sent you the printed out photos? Am I that
Yes.
old? No. Okay, so I if I can say I've been going to the parties for a long, long time. I'm
Right.
definitely a not so scary girl. I think Halloween party has better value than Christmas because, like you said, if you time it right, you can see the Christmas parade without going to the Christmas party. Do I need cookies that bad? I don't know.
You do. You
I
absolutely
need the
do.
trick or treating that bad. I'm looting, but the cookies, um, yeah. So I don't know where we were going with this. I just the cookies
No, no,
triggered
no,
me. I'm just
no.
here
So
for snacks.
just amen. When I was a cast member, we used to actually have a cast member party that would be them practicing the parade and kind of getting ready. So there was like I have a cast member ornament from the year that I was there that has Chip and Dale on it, and it was for the cast party that they had. So they would have some of the attractions open, and everybody would be kind of dressed out in their civvies, and then celebrating and having a good time. But they would do the parade like a dry run for cast, which I thought was a pretty neat thing. But that was back before the hard ticketed event existed. That's how old I am. So the hard ticketed event was like, you know what? We should gate this. We should
Yeah.
make people pay for this. So yes, you get the parade, but you don't get that wonderful overlay, which I'm going to tell you I actually think is cool. The Speedway overlay where they play like Trans-Siberian
I like
Orchestra
that.
and they
I
light
really
it
like
up.
that.
Because when it's not a party night, they don't turn the lights on. It's
That's
almost
right.
mean, actually. It's like I know
I
there are decorations
know.
here. Just freaking turn them on, and they're like,
Yes,
nope,
exactly.
not unless you're here for the cookies.
Yeah, if I spent the money, you better not be letting anyone else look at my decorations. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Those are my decorations now, not yours.
So those are the paid options, but there is a lot you can enjoy for free at the parks. They do a lot of cool things with the hotels and the resorts. It's still a
Yes.
wild card whether we're going to have I don't think we're going to have a gingerbread house this year at the Grand Floridian. Now that there's going to be a bar and a mako, I know they were like they just celebrated an anniversary for that gingerbread house. But we have like the gingerbread carousel at one hotel, and they do other things at like Wilderness Lodge and places like that. So it's really neat. That's something that I think is an extra special touch is the decorations that they put at the resort. So if you're staying at a resort, it feels like Christmas. Even like the value resorts, those trees that they have in the lobby are
Yep.
just beautiful. And it's really neat to kind of like resort hop and see all those decorations that are out there. The parks are decorated pretty well. All of them, Universal, Disney. But the funny thing to me about like the Magic Kingdom is those they go all the way down Main Street and then they kind of give up like with the right with the decorations. I mean, am I wrong? Like it doesn't like carry through the entire park. I feel like, and maybe a
You
little
might be
bit here
right.
and there,
You
but
might be
like
right because at Storybook Circus, like during the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, they have the Mickey wreaths here, on Main
Oh,
Street. But then in Storybook Circus, they have Dumbo characters instead of Mickey's.
this year they
So
did.
it's more so it's more themed all throughout that way. So maybe they'll add something at Christmas time.
Well, and then over at Universal, they're going to be, and we talked about this on an earlier meeting a couple weeks ago, is that they're going to be decorating for Christmas over at Epic because this is Epic's first Christmas. Aw, it's like a newborn
Oh,
Christmas. It's Epic's first Christmas, and they're gonna decorate Celestial Park, which they didn't do for Halloween, but they're doing for Christmas, which makes sense, I think. and the Wizarding World's going to be decorated, but it doesn't feel like, Annie, that they're going to do Super Nintendo, and like those decorations exist already. And then also Isle of Berk.
Yeah.
Remember the like Gift of the Night Fury? They have a Christmas special. Why not?
Yes.
You know what? I have a lot to say about that, but I'll keep it short. I do remember though that the first year that Japan and Hollywood were open, they did not put any decorations in. So like the one year Japan had decorations in Super Nintendo World and Hollywood did not. And so then the next year Hollywood got them. If I had to guess, we're going to have no decorations this year, and then next year we'll start getting decorations. I don't know about Burke though. I think there's a whole missed opportunity there. Even with the Yak Nog, everyone said make a hot version of Yak
Yes.
Nog for the holidays. Come on, like, you know.
And
Hmm.
Stephanie, maybe like Frankenstein with a Santa hat on and Darkmoor. Is that
That would be cool.
that makes sense? Okay, so yeah, so decorations wise, it's amazing. It's totally different when you go to the parks. Again, Universal Parks versus Walt Disney World. They really do it up. However, Annie, I don't know if you agree with this or not. I think that if you're comparing holidays, Universal owns the heck out of Halloween. They just do. Like the transformation for Halloween Horror Nights is incredible. The stuff they do at Disney is cute and it's nice, but I feel like just Universal, that's their bread and butter. Mardi Gras, again, awesome. Do you feel like they bring it hard enough for Christmas?
That's so tough because I yes and no. A lot of yes, because we've got the Grinchmas show, we've got the Grinch and the Who's out, we've got the Macy's parade, we've got like all the entertainment for the holidays. The characters are in holiday outfits in the park, and it's not a hard ticketed event where you have to wait 5 hours to meet Jack Skellington dressed as Santa Claus. It's like, oh, there's Shrek dressed up, and it's nobody's even over there. You can just go say hi to him. Like, I don't know. I just think the vibe is more casual at Universal because they don't do that hard ticketed event like Jollywood Nights or Very Merry. I think that Universal offers like a lot of stuff for the holidays that everyone can experience throughout the day. But sometimes I think the decorations are a little lacking. That's just certain spots. I'm like, they do some great decorations. They hide, I don't know if you know, they hide ornaments for the extinct attractions throughout all the decorations. Yeah.
That's
So
fun.
I think there's 17 of them.
I was
So
about to
like
say there's a
there's
lot of ornaments.
yeah, but but it's like if you know thing. Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be a Rocket one this year, so maybe there'll be 18. But there's like a Rosie the Robot one for Hanna-Barbera, and there's a Five-O one for Kid Zone, and they're like hidden in little spots. And even like 2 years ago, I went to guest services and I tried to ask them if I had found all of them, and everyone in guest services had zero clue what I was talking about.
Oh
So
my
again,
gosh.
yeah, so I had to tell them about it. But there's like a Vitamita Vegemin bottle for Lucy. So there's like
Oh,
this little like tiny bit of wow, that's really cool. But most people don't even know they're doing it. So
yeah.
that's kind of where I'm torn with the decorations. It's like that is so thoughtful, but nobody knows they're doing it, so people miss it.
Yeah.
Curious George, is there one for Curious George and one for Woody Woodpecker? And
That's the 501. It's 50 in a little high heel shoe. It's kind of
Uh,
encompasses all of kids, I guess.
gotcha.
There's like a jet ski for the old show. There's two sharks with Santa hats on. There's Kong. There's a bunch of cows for Twister with little Santa hats on over where Twister used to be. Like it's really cute. But if you don't know, you like the first year I
you
walked
miss
by,
it.
I was like, "What is this little jet ski like in the garland there? What is that random thing?" And that's what it
Yeah.
was.
Well, and then yeah. So all right. So let's talk about the parks and kind of the things that stand out. For me, Animal Kingdom, the decorations are nice and they fit the vibe, but the Merry Menagerie has my heart. I love the Merry Menagerie. Like, I will go just to see the Merry Menagerie, and luckily it's at the Discovery Island, so I can walk, see that, and then hit the bricks and go to another park. But like, love the Merry Menagerie, and if you guys haven't seen it before, it is just these like sort of very similar to the Lion King, Julie Taymor on Broadway puppets that they have that you can, and they have like these little cute little penguins and bear, and they bring them different ones, and they have somebody playing like a fiddle, and it's just really a very cool vibe to that park. It's really kind of, to me, the only big deal Christmas thing that they do there, especially now that we don't have a Dino Land anymore. They used to kind of do some stuff up in Dino Land, but that's not going to be a thing anymore. But I really love that. And then when you go to Hollywood Studios, it used to be, Stephanie, back in the day, I don't know if you remember, there was something called the Osborne Festival of Lights.
Oh, yes, that thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it broke everybody's heart when they got rid of it. But I think they've tried to remake that as like a Christmas park by like the Gertie and the Santa hat and the big huge like ornaments that are on Echo Lake, and the sunset season greetings and all that kind of stuff. Do you think they've done a good job? And is there one thing that stands out to you at Hollywood Studios that other, not Jollywood, but like during today guests, that is like makes it special?
I love the Echo Lake area with the tinsel and the like 1950s style, Santa Claus and Rudolph and everything like that, reindeer. It reminds me of my grandmother, because my grandmother actually had one of those Santa Clauses on her door that looked just like that. So it's sweet. I love that. And that's actually probably one of my favorite. I mean, I love Animal Kingdom. I love the menagerie like you're talking about, but I really love Hollywood Studios. It just fits so well with the old Hollywood vibe. So apart from, Magic Kingdom, that's probably my favorite as far as decorations go. This would be my second favorite. Epcot, I wish, they have the wonderful, there you go. That's the picture. I love that tinsel, the kind of, 1950s space age kind of stuff too. It just looks fun. And they do a lighting of the Christmas tree too at night. So that's cool. Everybody stands around and then they count down and the lights come on the Christmas tree. But Epcot needs to step up its game. And I'm not talking about in the World Showcase. The World Showcase, if you go at the beginning of December, you get to see the different festival Santas, and they tell you their stories from each of the countries, which is wonderful to see those performers. It's so much fun. I'm glad they brought them back. But they used to have at World Gateway, at the very beginning of World Showcase, they used to have these archways, and it would play Christmas music and the lights would light up to that. They don't do that anymore, and I wish they did, because that's kind of that Osborne family like vibe, if you will, because of the music and the lights being in sync with it. I wish that they would do more at Disney Springs, to be honest with you. The Christmas tree trail is great, but they could put up some Osborne lights out there.
Is this thing you're talking about? The
Yes.
Yeah. So so that was a thing that was there. Do you have any memories of like the Epcot or old school Hollywood Studios of Christmas, or something you think is unique about them still to this day?
Well, I do like I said, the World Showcase, the Santas, during the Festival of the Holidays, which again, if you go during Thanksgiving, you're missing that, because they have the Christmas decorations up, but they don't have the Festival of the Holidays starting. And I'm of two minds about that, because it's like, well, let's get through Thanksgiving, right? And then start the Christmas stuff in December, but then you miss the performances. But I love that about Epcot. I'm glad they still have that.
Yeah. Annie, before we move on to the Universal stuff, anything that stands out for you?
Oh, I love the Santas too, and the candlelight processional. I think
Yes.
Epcot would probably be my favorite for experience wise for the holidays here. But I'm with you on studios, the tinsel and that 50s, Hollywood, right, like that. I love that look, but for experience, I gotta go with Epcot. Candlelight, the Santas just going around there, and I do
Agreed.
miss that light thing that you're talking about. It just like unlocked a memory. I forgot that was even there. I miss that now. And
Memory
the
unlocked.
little, you always used to call them the little puffers. They had the lights that were kind of
Yes.
like, yeah.
On the sides.
So, and again, the decorating starts really usually on November 1st, and I think that somebody even mentioned this in the chat. It used to be that December 31st, I mean October 31st. Did I say December? I meant November. On October 31st, it was the last day of Halloween. So on November 1st, like people would walk in and there'd be Christmas there already. They don't really do that anymore, and I think part of that's that there's too much Christmas to be had or to spread around. I see you making a face, Stephanie. You're like, they should still
Never
do
too
that.
much. Yes, they should still do it because they would just do Magic Kingdom, right? It would be a 24-hour turnaround. They Because we've been there, we've done this, we've seen it. So Halloween party, it's my twin's birthday. We come out at midnight or whenever it's over, and then they do a quick turnaround, about 7 hours, till the park opens the next day at 9 a.m. or whatever. So they've got to get stuff up quickly. They don't have to put everything up, but you got the tree on Main Street, you've got the garlands and things down Main Street. You don't have to do everything. And the poinsettias in the front, that was amazing to me. They'd rip up all the flowers and plant the poinsettias, and it was Christmas.
Well, Andy, let me ask you this because I already know Stephanie's answer on this, I believe. But when they made announcements for Destination D23 that they were changing the color of Cinderella Castle back to its original off-white or the white
Oh,
color, a lot of people's next question was, when are you bringing back the dream lights? Do you remember them physically putting
oh
lights
yeah.
onto the castle? And like, do you think that projections are as good, or does somebody need to fix that?
I think projections are cheaper and easier. Honestly, I think that a lot of this is, oh well, imagine if a couple of the lights go out, then somebody's got to fix them. Well, it's a little more work to fix the lights, I guess. I don't know. I think projections just seem like cheaper and easier, but I don't like them. Uh, I have a hard time picking up on what I'm supposed to be looking at in some of these projections on the castle. Give me some classic lights, throw some lights up there. And you know what? If one goes out and the whole string goes out, I'm fine with it. Just, you don't got to fix it. I'll deal with it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
no,
No.
this
so
is
good. It's
beautiful.
so good.
See, yeah,
Yeah.
no, this is beautiful, and I have a picture of me. I was that person one time. We stayed to be some of the last people out, and there's a picture of me laying on the dirty Main Street, like with the castle behind me, all lit up in the lights, and that's one of my favorite pictures. So yeah, I miss those.
Yeah, I don't want to get too
Bring them
nostalgic
back.
about all the things we miss because there are some things that we miss. But obviously, again, they do a great job at the Magic Kingdom of doing things. But there are those things that are gated, like the overlays or because there's an overlay for Space Mountain, there's an overlay for the Tomorrowland Speedway. Um, so it's interesting to see those. We don't have the quality of overlays they do at Disneyland, which is the Haunted Mansion Holiday, and it's a small world holiday. But we do have the Jingle Cruise, and that's available to day guests and to also people who go and do the nighttime thing. So or the hard ticketed event. So that's kind of like the stuff that we see when we go to the parks. Obviously, there's a lot of merch. Obviously, there's a lot of food. Festival of Holidays. I was starting to mention this before, is like the decorating really starts November 1st, where they're swapping out harvest for winter. And then it ramps up, and the parties start on the 7th and the 8th of November. Um, Not so, or Very Merry, always screw that up, and Jollywood. And then on the day after Thanksgiving, we see, or is it Thanksgiving Day? We see the decorations come to. I think it's Thanksgiving Day, isn't it? The Festival of Holidays at EPCOT, because up until then it's food and wine, and then that's a place where overnight it's like, oh, Festival of Holidays now. So I mean,
Yes.
they change it over, and the food booths have holiday based foods. Festival Holidays at Disney California Adventure. I love that one. That's a really good one too, out in California. But let's talk about Universal a little bit, because you mentioned Grinchmas and the Grinch. Before we get to Annie on this, like I see Stephanie going like this, because Stephanie, you said you have experienced Universal Christmas, and you love the Grinch.
It was amazing. Yes, we were there last year, and it was probably my first time at Universal in many, many years. Like I'm talking 20 years or something since I was younger. And so I had, my kids with me, and we just ran the park so that we didn't, obviously Epic wasn't open yet, so we just were back and forth through the other two, and it was wonderful. I knew that Grinchmas, the show, was going to be something fun. I knew that it was like Broadway style. There he is. But I did not know how entertaining. Like it is the movie. It's the, the live action storyline. But they had Max was a real dog, and everybody would just ooh and ah whenever he would come on stage. And the Grinch would like interact with the crowd, and we were like third row or somebody really close, and he would point you out and say something at you. It was just so much fun, and my kids were like, that was worth it. That was worth standing in line and going and seeing that. And the Who's, they would be, even after the performances, they would be dressed, in their performance, whatever, and they would come out and talk to the crowds. I think it was different people, but that's okay. So it was still the same characters, and they would come out and walk through and talk to the crowd, and that was just so much fun. That was the best. The one thing I will say that I was disappointed with was that we never got to meet the Grinch. We never did, because the line was so long. You want to talk about a fast passage you want to pay for, it's probably that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and Annie, obviously you've done this over and over and reported it live over and over again. So, what are the things you want people to know about Christmas at Universal?
I'm going to say I'm so old that I remember back when the Grinch used to stand around and read by himself, and nobody ever went and saw him. He just stood there in front of like a blue screen alone. I have so many photos of me with him from like 2014 when I first worked in Seuss Landing. I also remember when Grinchmas used to be on a little stage, and then it was on bleacher seats before it was in a good theater. But you know what? That's another story. Anyway, you got to see the Grinch. Got to see Grinchmas. But meeting the Grinch is really impossible now. You got to wait hours and hours, and Universal kind of has dropped the ball on this, in my opinion, a little bit, because the location for the meet is just people waiting out in the sun. It's one room.
Exactly.
The Grinch is a very busy man, and everybody wants their time with him, and so the line moves slow. But this is where Universal starts to cash in, because they have two experiences you can buy to meet the Grinch.
That's right.
So one's the Grinchmas, and then there's a Universal tour, right?
I would totally do that tour.
There's a Grinch breakfast, and then there's the holiday tour. And so the Grinch breakfast is like the Who's, and you get a plated meal, and then you can meet the Grinch. And then the holiday tour is like a bunch of other stuff. And then there's like cookie decorating and the Grinch meet and greet there. So there's, again, like you said, you want to pay for an express pass to meet the Grinch. This is basically the express pass. Smart idea, because they sell out so quickly, these breakfasts and tours, because people value their time. They don't want to wait 5 hours in the sun.
Well, one other call out I want to make, another ambassador that Universal has for Christmas outside of the Grinch.
Yes. I forgot. I was thinking earlier, I said, if you want to meet Shrek. And I'm like, I should have said Earl. That's Earl the squirrel.
Yeah.
He is our icon. Yeah, he's based on a real squirrel. It's a real story.
Oh.
Yeah. He was in the Christmas tree, and he would chew on the lights, and they would go out, and they'd have to fix them all the time. And then they named him Earl. And then he just became, in the Christmas tree over years, they've hidden a squirrel. And he kind of pops out of the branches and goes back in. So you have to kind of keep an eye out and look for where he's going to like pop out. And even during 2020, they put a little face mask on him. It was so cute. He had a little face mask. He popped out of the tree with a mask on. So that was, yeah. But then they just kind of, when people started to, kind of fall in love with him, they started putting him in the tribute store and on a little bit of merch, and then it just blew up. And now we have a meet and greet, and he's just our, Christmas. He is Christmas.
He's the little Boo, but for Christmas.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I love the tale of Earl the Squirrel. Can I say tail? Is that funny? I don't know. Um,
Ah.
but I honestly I think that that's a really neat thing that Universal has evolved over time is the Earl the Squirrel the lore. But again, they do a tribute store. They do that parade. That's the last thing I want to talk about with Universal is that parade. I love that parade. I mean, again, that's that. I think Annie, you and I saw that parade together. The only time I saw it because I think you were already there. You were capturing it or something, and I love that parade because again, it gives me like old-fashioned vibes of waking up on Thanksgiving morning and watching that Thanksgiving Day parade. And there was a time where they did like the Thanksgiving balloons at Hollywood Studios. I don't know if you guys remember that. The Macy's balloons existed at at Hollywood Studios, and so the fact that this parade still exists and that they have it at Universal is pretty awesome. So, any thoughts on the parade, Stephanie? You saw it, I assume, when you were there.
Yeah, my kids did. I was otherwise occupied, but they said they liked it. I love I had to get a picture of them under Gingy, so as he comes across or whatever, and they're standing there. But yeah, that was. I agree with you. A cool experience that I may never get to see Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, but this is something I could go to see.
Yeah. By the way, Annie, I looked up what you were talking about. This is
Oh,
there he is, Earl.
yes.
And in the tree. But yeah, that parade I feel like is probably I've not seen the summer parade that they do the mega parade.
Oh,
But
it's
Annie,
so good.
do you is it part of your tradition every year, whether you were capturing content or not, to go see that parade? Is that like it's not Christmas until you see it?
You know what? I love Universal's parades. I love Mardi Gras. I love the summer one. You got to see the summer one, and I love Christmas. And there's just I don't know the snowflakes, the girls dressed up as the snowflakes, and people, even the people just like holding the balloons, marching with the balloons. That they just are just happy to be there. Everyone in the parade is just I don't know. It just brings you so happy. And if you get a spot right by the Christmas tree, when Santa goes by the Christmas tree, he lights up the Christmas tree. And I don't think a lot of people realize that because if you wait all around the parade route, you will see the parade. But I always get a spot either by the mummy facing the tree because when he goes around, he goes like, okay, one, two, three, or whatever. And then the tree lights up all the way as he goes by. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, so that moment of Santa lighting the tree for the first time, that's my thing.
Well, I mean, Elsa used to light up those holiday lights.
Yes.
You
that
know
was a
what?
fun.
That
I
was great,
mean,
wasn't it?
not that I don't love Santa. I'm just saying, you know, the Queen of Arendelle makes an appearance. You pay attention.
She never
There
brought me any presents. Sorry.
That's true.
that's true.
Santa's got my vote.
There are a lot of add-ons, and I want to ask you this, Stephanie, because you didn't get a chance to talk about this last week when Patrick and Shannon and I talked about this. But the cake bake shop this year on the
Knew
boardwalk
you
has
were gonna ask
added a
that.
200. I have to, because we talked about you. They added a $200 Santa dinner, $200 a person, 150 for kids, bargain. Um, and as I was talking about it with my wife, it's like, yeah, that's what every kid wants is a three-course meal, um, a seated three-course meal before they go meet Santa Claus. But you were like, no, I would do that, right? I mean, is that something that you would
I would
be
do it,
honest?
but I am honest. I would do it with a select of my daughters because I have a lot. No, but I just some of them would not care because they were either too old or too young or whatever, and then the other ones are like, I want to be fancy, and yes, I have paid for that super fancy tea that you can do there, and it was fun and it was nice, but I probably would take at least one or two of them to this thing if I was there. Yes.
Well, I mean, like the aesthetic is immaculate with Santa in the all white here.
Yes.
But
Beautiful. It is gorgeous inside. That is true.
what Patrick said was just walk around the corner into EPCOT, and there's 11 Santas around, you know,
Right.
around World Showcase that you can go see for free. um, but I mean,
True.
free is relative if you had to pay to get in, because you don't have to, pay to get in the boardwalk. But there are other things you can do too. You can watch the glimmering lights of Epcot, the behind the scenes tour. They do one
Hmm.
for the lights that they do at that overlay for Epcot. Um, but honestly, I think we mentioned there's a lot of food, there's a lot of merch, there's a lot of opportunities to have a great time at these parks. There's a lot of traditions that people have. I know that if you go to Disneyland, it's a big tradition to get the candy canes that they make, the
Yes.
handmade candy canes, and people line up and get tickets and come back and pay what, $20 a candy cane and gladly pay it. So I mean, but that's because that's a tradition that you do, and Christmas. To me, the holidays are there's no bigger time for tradition than the holidays, and that's what gives you the nostalgia and the all the feels, and a lot of times people have connected those to these theme parks. So,
Yes.
so what I'd want to do is I want to wrap up and get like a final thought from each of you guys about Christmas and the holidays at the theme parks. But before we do, I want to say thank you to our Patreon. That is our pack. Thank you guys so much for being Park Adventurers Club. If you want to learn more about it, go to patreon.com/go pack. Thank you guys so much for being members. We have we'll do a special exclusive pack exclusive on Tuesday night, and you guys will hear more about that soon. But please come and hang out with us. We would love to have you. And then also wanted to mention we've got a lot of great content on this channel, parkadventuresclub.com. Last Friday, the happiest days, I mentioned Shannon's show. She did a review of the Disney's Riviera Resort. So you could check that out here this Wednesday night. Ron, Deanna, and I will be doing Disney's Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is a lot different than the Wicked movie. This is something different that happened in 1983. And then on Friday night, my son's trivia show, Hakuna Trivia. I know it is. It's a wonderful name. Is going to be on Friday night. So hopefully you guys will join us for all that. And Annie, what kind of cool things do you do over there on Adventuring with Annie?
I
What
get into
you're like?
trouble.
What you're like? What don't you do over there? Right?
What don't I do? Some wild live streams of HHN, some Universal updates, some Tokyo. The HHN live streams are wild. There's only 2 weeks left. Come see the unhinged Annie.
Yeah, she was telling us pre-show that she had just gotten back. Like that's the level of commitment. Is she's going all the time to HHN, and why wouldn't you? Because it's a lot of fun. So, and then Stephanie's show, The Castaways, go check it out. Where she interviews people who used to be cast members, and the last one that we did on there was Jake, right? Who
Amy.
Oh, Amy, who was the fairest of them all. And then, of course,
That's
Jake,
right.
Ron, and then myself had all been interviewed, and you've got more coming up on that one. So, again, follow us, parkadventuresclub.com. Go to Adventuring with Annie. But now I want to get final thoughts on each of you guys for the holidays, starting with you, Annie. Like, what would you want to make sure that people know who are thinking about going to the parks in Orlando for the holidays? What are the things that need to stand out? What are the things that stand out to you? All of that in 90 seconds or less.
All right, quick. Okay. If you want to meet if you want to meet the Grinch, you got to do the breakfast of the tour. I love both of them, but definitely recommend the breakfast. Look for the ornaments. Go to Epic Universe. I can't wait to see what the decorations are. I hope it's not disappointing. I hope I have not aimed high and and obviously all the parks here in Florida are amazing at the holidays. Beautiful decorations, so many things you can do. Make time, make memories with your family. Go to all the parks. That's what I gotta say.
Okay, and Stephanie, same question.
Yeah, I think go to all the parks if you can. That'd be wonderful. If you can't, if you just have a limited amount of time and you're flying in the day you're flying in, maybe you don't go to the park, go go pop around and maybe make a dinner reservation at, even if you're not staying at Wilderness Lodge or Contemporary or Grand Floridian or something, but you make a reservation there so you can go and you can experience those different decorations. Animal Kingdom Lodge, wonderful, has some good food out there too. So, that would be a wonderful way to go and spend the evening and look at the trees and kind of go around the monorail and look at the different, because each resort is themed to that resort. Those decorations are themed, which is great. But they, like I said, they kind of roll those out slowly. So if you're there in November, you're not going to see like maybe the full effect until they get everything up in December. Yeah, you can spend your money however, but if you buy the ticket to the hard ticketed events, I still recommend doing something light and sleep in the morning and then get there at 4 o'clock and stay till the end. And then Jollywood Nights, I don't know, we didn't get into that as much this time, Rob, but I feel like they're doing better. They're adding more things to do, like as far as entertainment. They have some cool shows, some neat offerings that are just unique to that time, and it's fun to dress up. I see a lot of people dressing up in the 1920s, 40s, 50s era kind of stuff, and that's really neat to go and see that. Just people watch even. If you want to people watch, you can always go to Disney Springs for free and sit down and watch that. But I do feel like Disney Springs, Jock Lindsay's Hangar Bar. I haven't gotten over there yet, but I've always wanted to go and experience their Christmas stuff too.
Well, Disney Springs one year did a drone show for the holidays.
I was going to bring that up earlier too.
Yeah, and so that was really cool. And you can go do some Christmas shopping, and they do the tree trail over at Disney Springs. We didn't even talk about that. And so honestly, it's a lot of fun to go all over, again, City Walk, or go to, and I know what's the club? What do they call it at Christmas?
Green and Red Coconut Club.
The Green and Red Coconut Club. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So so much, almost way too much to do, but I definitely recommend going during the holidays. For me, the Merry Menagerie is always something I want to see. I love seeing the Candlelight Processional. I know that a lot of our PAC members talked about that being one of their favorite things, and everybody's got like a different favorite narrator they've done. I know that when we had Charlie on talking about the Candlelight Processional at Disneyland, he's like, you don't want to get involved with that because they have it right at Main Street at the station, and it's just a traffic clog the entire way. But I bet it's pretty special being in Walt's Place and watching the Candlelight Processional happen there. So again, probably those two, Merry Menagerie and Candlelight Processional, are my two favorites. But we would love to hear from you guys, and let us know in the comments below what are your favorite things. What do you love the most about the holidays? And hopefully, if you were thinking about going, hopefully this helped you a little bit. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments, and we'd love to have you. But Annie, thank you as always for coming and hanging out, and Stephanie, man, I appreciate you guys spending your Sunday night with us. Thank you guys for spending your Sunday night with us. Hopefully you guys will have a great week, and join us for some of the other great content we have. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget, adventure is out there. Have a good one.